Hey YouTube, this is Jethro. This is kind of a response VR to 1952 Jeep. Heck of a guy on YouTube. I believe him and Arkansas Prepper were the first two that gave me a response on my videos when I first started. You know, I've been a member since like 2008. I did not start making videos until it was like February or March of 2012. You know, I didn't have a camera and stuff, but I liked watching the videos and I'd respond here and there. But these are the first two guys that had responded to my videos, and they give a lot of comments to a lot of people and encouragement. And for that, I applaud you guys. I mean, you know, you're what I call YouTube heroes. So Jason, my video response to you is going to be quite a long one. You don't have to watch all of it, bud. But I've got a few days off in a row. I just seen you make your beehives, and I was wanting to do that, but I come across these top bar hives, and for some of the areas I want to do them, kind of give you a shot. About 200 yards, 250 yards in that direction through the timber, I've got a buttload of honeysuckle. I want to build one hive to put in the honeysuckle area back there. I've got area cleared off, and I just think that'll make excellent honey. Back here in the field, kind of, well, through my fifth wheel, I've got a area over by my pond. I want to put it in the field, but I'm going to give them an area that's got honeysuckle, it's got some wildflower, and I'm getting ready to plant a bunch of wildflower all through my side of the property over here, and give them a place to go. Then I'm going to go ahead and make another hive, and I'm going to put it on the north end of my property, because my garden is going to be, it's closely located. And that's the reason I'm doing the bees. And I've been wanting to do it for a long time. You beat me to it, bud. So anyhow, on the top bar hive, I've done a bit of research on them. Whatever, my camera just something funky, but anyhow, it's a V-wedge type hive. You take a 1x12. I got an 8-footer. I got a couple 8-footers the other day and started on them. And basically, I measured over about 7 inches, and how the hell do I do that bottom? If I line that baby up, I measured 7.5 inches from the edge of a 1x12, and then, you know, from top to bottom, and that gave me a center line. And from that center line, I went over basically, it's supposed to be 2 inches each way from that center line. Made a mark on the bottom, and then from the top, I went 7.5 inches and made a mark on each side. From there, I just took a straight line and made me a wedge, and this is what I come up with. This is what I cut out on my first one, and basically I'm going to use this for a pattern. And these are basically going to be spacers, so I know where I want to set my sides up at, and then I'll show you my ends here in a minute. It'll kind of make sense when I put it all together, but right now I want to mark these off and cut them out. We'll be back. Now when you're doing these, to save material, that zoomed out a little bit, what we're going to do, instead of, you know, we don't want to burn a whole lot of lumber, so my first pattern I marked out like this. The second pattern I'm going to give about a 1/4 inch space, because that's the width of my saw blade, and I'm going to figure that space right about here, and I'm just going to basically cut between the lines. So what that's going to allow me to do is, you know, when basically a 30-inch space, I'm going to get 2 spacers out of, which are going to come in later on in the beehive, and you'll see that assembly too, just to kind of keep your honeybee combs forming in a uniform place, and it also helps whenever you first start your brood. So anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get these marked out to a straight line. I'm going to cut them out. Back in a minute. So we've done one cut. Fixing to do number 2. Using the board for an extension here. I'm just going to run right between the lines. Your last cut be a shortcut if you're using scrap like I am, because I use everything. Now the reason I backed up on that is I'm wanting to hug right at the edge of my line. I don't want to take out the line. I don't want to go outside the line. You know, my marking is just barely leaving it. So between this, it's not a scientific build. And guys, I mean, I've done a lot of woodwork. I do some serious stuff, but this ain't got to be serious. It's an outdoor project. It's going to set back to where nobody's going to see it. And if I was going to build them to sell, then I would probably go ahead and set up my table saw on about a 62-degree angle for my bar and line my lines up, and that's what I'd rip them at, you know, real close to the line, and everything would be uniform and perfect. But this is a home project, so it don't have to be perfect. That gives me my 2 spacers, and I'll show you where we're getting at with them in a minute. I'm going to try to let you look at this. I've got these guys lined up, and what I've got is a little bitty edge right here. The rest of it's pretty straight. As far as this side, you know, we're pretty much on. There's not a whole lot of lip. I'm not going to worry too much about that. If you did want to worry about it, make them perfect, stick them in a dang vise and line them up, run a couple screws through it to hold it together, or 3, and then go ahead and just sand them even. That way you'll have them perfectly straight. But like I said, outdoor project don't have to be perfect. From an airplane, you'll never know the difference. Okay guys, from here the next step is I rip down some 1x4s to 1.5 inches. See if we can get that in there. 1.5 inches on width, and basically I went to cover my whole deal 17 inches in length, and we're going to just center that by eyeball, and you can measure if you want to, whatever, but we're going to center that on this piece, and this is going to be our catcher on our racks, and still it's a part of the jig to set up our form for the angle we want our hive to be at. So get another one of those plugged together, and back in a minute. Okay guys, so set this down here. Basically what we done was took that 17-inch piece, and I just took my thumbs, and basically it was knuckle to the edge of the board on each side, okay, and lined them up, and all I done was shot some glue to it right through here, and I used a finish nailer, air brad nailer, 1.5 inch nails, and put it together. You know, set them up, let them dry, and that's basically all it's for. If you use a good outdoor glue, it's going to hold together. And I just, you know, I kind of eyeballed my space in here, and once I done that, I went ahead and put lines on there to make sure everything was where I wanted it. Glued it, nailed it. It's not coming apart. So right now I'm going to cut my piece of 1x12. I'm going to measure 36-inch pieces instead of a 4-foot hive. I'm just making 3-foot hives, and I believe that'll be sufficient in size, as many as I'm going to have in the locations I'm going to put them, and I'm going to add on to as I can. So anyhow, we're just going to measure out 36 inches and cut them down and get ready to do our sides.